Alright, so the Edmonton Oilers. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Edmonton Oilers, going over the roster, going over their depth charts, and going over where they need to improve upon this offseason. And this is going to be the first video within this series where we take a more analytical viewpoint of each team, go over whether they are a playoff contender and where their obvious weak points are, where perhaps they can improve upon during the offseason. But anyways guys, let's just get right into this video. The team that seems like they've been in a constant rebuild since 2010. Now personally guys, I'm actually from Alberta. I like the Edmonton Oilers. I like a lot of the players, whether it's McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, Darnell Nurse. They have a lot of great young talent. So why can the Edmonton Oilers not put the pieces together? Well, to be honest guys, a lot of it had to do with management. Well, at least in my opinion. However, there is some huge holes within their lineup. So let's just start off by taking a look at their center depth. So obviously starting off, we have Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Kyle Brodziak, and obviously there's some other prospects and not a lot there. And keep in mind guys, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is listed as a center. However, he has basically taken over the wing position with McDavid. Draisaitl also is a guy that obviously is the second line center, but he is known for playing with McDavid. On left wing we have Lucic, Jujhar Khaira, Tyler Benson, and that's it. On right wing we have Alex Chiasson, Jesse Puljujarvi, Sam Gagner, Zach Kassian, Kailer Yamamoto, and some other prospects. On defense, things are looking better. They have Oscar Klefbom, Adam Larsson, Darnell Nurse, Chris Russell, Sekera, Petrovic, Ethan Bear, Caleb Jones, Evan Bouchard, and of course their newly drafted defenseman, Philip Broberg. So before Broberg was drafted, there was a lot of controversy with this pick because Broberg is kind of seen as a questionable pick. However, Broberg does have a lot of upside. Broberg, of course, is 6'3". He has an elite skating ability. Very good transition game, but really needs to work on his positional play. But a lot of the points of his games will come with more maturity and of course more development. Especially when you look at Detroit reaching all the way and grabbing Moritz Seider. Phil Broberg actually seems like a decent pickup at number 8. And they obviously have Koskinen, Stolars, Montoya, and some other prospects. So what do I think when I look at this roster? Well, obviously they have the best player in the NHL. I don't think there's really a debate about that. Connor McDavid is just a generational talent that we just don't see very often. And the fact that a lot of his talent has been wasted because management hasn't been able to put together a team to support him properly is honestly just a shame. I really feel bad for the guy because again, he has all the talent in the world, but the Edmonton Oilers haven't been able to successfully put the pieces together. Draisaitl, of course, just came off a monster 50-plus goal year, 100-plus point season. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a great two-way forward who can play center wing, who had a career season last year. And then after that, there is no center depth. Kyle Brodziak, I guess, is a bottom 6 forward, but other than that, again, there's not a lot here. When going into the 2019 draft, I feel as if the Edmonton Oilers should draft a forward. The Edmonton Oilers are lacking depth, that's for sure, but they definitely aren't lacking as much depth on defense as they are for forwards. So with that being said, I really thought they were going to take the best player, well, best forward available at number 8, whether that was Zegras, Podkolzin, or like a Krebs or something. However, what I will say, picking up Raphael Lavoie, who looked like he could be a mid-first round pick in the second round, is just phenomenal. Lavoie this year had a great year within the queue. He put up 73 points in 62 games, 32 of those being goals. He had a monster playoffs, putting up 20 goals in 23 games. If Lavoie went in the top 15, I would not have been surprised. So the fact that he slides all the way down to number 38 could potentially be a huge steal for the Edmonton Oilers. Even though I understand why they draft Broberg because he's a potential top 2 defenseman, they really did make up for it drafting Lavoie in the second round. On left wing, they have Lucic, who I don't really know where the Edmonton Oilers stand now, especially with the cap not being as high. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of teams that are willing to take on that contract. And if they are, Edmonton's going to have to give up some pieces. But to be honest, guys, in my opinion, Edmonton should do everything they can to get rid of Lucic. And I'll explain why in a bit. They have Khaira, who is definitely a good bottom 6 forward. Slepyshev, and then the rest of these guys are prospects who are not proven. On right wing, they have Chiasson, who obviously had a career year. And honestly, guys, a lot of forwards and defensemen, I guess, within this free agency class are coming off career years. So good for them, but for the teams who are dealing with salary cap issues, they're going to be overpaying these guys or just getting rid of them. And for someone like Alex Chiasson, who put up a 20-goal season, this year especially, he's definitely going to be getting more of a premium than he probably should be. I wouldn't be surprised if he got between $3 and $4 million, but again, we'll see. I definitely think the Edmonton Oilers need to try to re-sign him. So also on right wing, we have Jesse Puljujarvi, who of course just broke the news recently that he is not willing to return to the Edmonton Oilers. And then of course Edmonton came out and said they want a third line player in return for Puljujarvi. And this is one of my biggest issues with management and with the Edmonton Oilers. Jesse Puljujarvi is a 4th overall pick from 2016. He's a guy that was seen to have huge potential just right beside Patrik Laine. And the issue I have with the Edmonton Oilers, and it's something that Vancouver is getting criticized of as of recently acquiring JT Miller, is the Edmonton Oilers have been stuck within the rebuild mindset. And I'll tell you exactly what I mean by that. So obviously the Vancouver Canucks just traded away a potential first round pick to pick up JT Miller, who is hopefully a good top 6 forward who has a decent cap. The Edmonton Oilers have had countless first round picks, high first round picks within the top 10 within the last 10 years. Obviously they've had 4 first overall picks within the last, 10 years now. And a bunch of those picks, and a bunch of the other picks being within the top 5, if not top 10. And the issue I have with this is a lot of these guys just are not turning out. And whether that's because they're rushed into the league or not, I really think the Edmonton Oilers really need to take the leap, trade away some of their future prospects to build a better team now. Now that might be a little bit controversial, but just think about it, guys. Jesse Puljujarvi was the 4th overall pick in 2016. In 2016, if the Edmonton Oilers were to trade this pick, they would have gotten so much value in return. Whether that's a top line forward, a top 4, if not top 2 defenseman, they would have gotten so much value for the number 4 pick in 2016. But no, they keep having to draft players, and a lot of them aren't turning out very well. And they have just been stuck in a constant cycle of rebuilding. Because again, imagine if they did trade Jesse Puljujarvi for a top line forward to play with McDavid. Draisaitl wouldn't have to play up. Draisaitl could stay on the second line. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins could play up and down the lineup, and they would already have way more depth than they do now. And what is happening now? Well, Jesse Puljujarvi is going to be shipped off away, potentially for a third line player. But if this pick was traded in 2016, that pick would have turned into a top line player to play along Connor McDavid. Now again, that might be kind of controversial, but there is a balance. It is possible to trade away your picks and make sure you're developing a competitive team now while maintaining a future. And I'm fine with them drafting guys like Phil Broberg, Evan Bouchard, but there just needs to be a time where they're able to acquire actual assets on the team to help McDavid, actually make the playoffs for once. Because right now, when I look at their winger depth, there is just nothing. They have Milan Lucic, who's a $6 million man, Chiasson, who may not return, and then nothing else. There needs to be something huge to happen. The good news for the Edmonton Oilers is they do have $8 million in cap space, and besides Chiasson, they don't have a lot of guys needed to be re-signed, besides the RFAs. But the bad news is for Edmonton, if they don't make some big changes this offseason, don't count on making the playoffs next year. The other issue with this is, yes, Edmonton obviously still has all their young players, which I just mentioned they could have potentially traded those draft picks away during their draft year and gotten way more value out of them. It's fine that they have all these prospects, but for the Edmonton Oilers to have to rely on a guy like Yamamoto, on a guy like Evan Bouchard, it can really mess up their development. You can't really depend on these young guys, and if you do, it can either mess up their development or you just won't be successful because they just didn't fully transition into the NHL. The good thing is, guys, is that the Edmonton Oilers are building out a good defensive blue line for the future, obviously with Oscar Klefbom, Adam Larson, Darnell Nurse, Chris Russell, Sekera's a good veteran presence. And then obviously we have some other futures like Ethan Bear, Caleb Jones, Evan Bouchard, and the newly drafted Philip Broberg. So when taking a look at this year's free agency class, the Edmonton Oilers currently have an open cap space of around $8 million. And that is not counting any of the guys that need to be signed, like potentially Chiasson. And the issue is if they don't somehow, bundle in some picks, trade off Lucci's contract to get rid of that cap, is they won't be able to, go into free agency and make a splash unless they do make a trade. Some of the potential guys I could see possibly going to Edmonton is like Dzingel, perhaps Anders Lee, I doubt it, Gustav Nyquist, Zuccarello, Ferland, Richard Panik, but there isn't a lot of guys here that are either going to fit within the Edmonton Oilers' future, or if they are able to sign them and they are a great player to support guys like McDavid and Draisaitl, they're going to be asking way too much money and the Edmonton Oilers aren't going to be able to afford them. And also, guys, keep in mind, Edmonton is a team, I mean, you can offer a player money, but that doesn't mean they're going to take it. Some of these guys may be looking at Edmonton's management and going, I don't know if I want to play in Edmonton. That just seems like it could be a toxic atmosphere. But again, guys, Edmonton does have a bright future. Obviously, with the guys like Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, you're gonna have some hope that you're gonna be a playoff contender or a potential Stanley Cup winner. But with their current pieces and their current depth, I just cannot see them being a playoff contender unless they make some big changes. However, if they do put on a lot of pressure for these younger guys like a Benson, like a Yamamoto to actually come in and make an impact, that is a big risk. Again, you don't want to mess with their development, or if you do rely on them too much and they don't do well, you're just not going to have success. Not to mention, Edmonton doesn't have a bona fide starter. Koskinen had some good looks, but again, we don't really know what to expect. So to sum it up, guys, I really hope Edmonton starts, giving Connor McDavid, giving Draisaitl the supporting pieces they need to actually succeed for once. You can't have that much talent like a McDavid or Draisaitl, I don't know, I've said this so many times, and just let it go to waste. They need to start giving out some of their future picks, or do something to help build out this team. And again, guys, there is a balance where you're able to keep drafting, keep building out that pipeline, but still maintain a good current roster. And I think Edmonton has been way too far to the left where they're too afraid to give out those picks. And then when they do draft them, they don't always turn out like a Jesse Puljujarvi. And obviously you never know if a Jesse Puljujarvi is actually going to turn out or not. But it is a lot safer, for example, if they traded Puljujarvi for a bona fide top 6 player to receive a bona fide top 6 player. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think. I think Edmonton does have the pieces, but they just need to make some big changes. Getting rid of Lucic's contract would be huge. But let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for all this support recently. It means so much. We're above 600 subscribers. Just crazy. But anyways, guys, see you guys later.